Hello, hello. So we're going to take a look at the new Mac operating system today. I watched WWDC earlier in the week, and they announced macOS Tahoe, or version 26, as everything's been renamed to 26. And I thought it was probably time that I should dust off the Mac Mini, which chills out just under my desk here and has served me well as a music server over the past few years. But I had much grander plans for it when I bought it, and it finished off my Apple ecosystem. So I'm filming this now on an iPhone, and there's a couple of iPads here. We've got Apple TVs. I've got the watch. So it just finished things off, but it never quite worked for me. So can in 2025 can we overcome those shortcomings that or roadblocks that I hit a few years ago, and can we really make it work for us? And also, I'm a long-term PC guy, so I've been using Windows since Windows 3.1, and maybe that Mac OS environment was a little bit jarring for me. So hopefully we can work through those little quirks. Now, some of the reasons it didn't work for me, as I say, I'm a Windows guy, and I tend to use the Microsoft Office suite or the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, and that wasn't working particularly well for me back in the day. And there's been lots and lots of improvements on that, and particularly in security. I know I've got a Mac Mini, but I don't think on the laptops they don't think FaceTime is available on Mac yet, so I'm very used to Windows Hello and passkeys and all that type of thing. But I know I can do passkeys on the Mac, so we'll have a look at that. One of the other roadblocks, as it were keyboard support. So as you can tell from my accent, I am from the UK, and we use a British keyboard layout, which is slightly different to a US English layout. And I thought I'd set everything possible to UK, and still the keyboard wouldn't quite work as I expected it to. So we'll have a look at that. And also, I think it's the continuity features have just been launched, and I specifically bought a Mac Mini with a 10 gig network card because we've got 10 gig networking in the house. And it seemed that they would only work on Wi-Fi, and if I turn the wired network on, then they stop working. So let's see if that's improved. So let's head over onto the desktop of the Mac, and we can start our journey. Okay, so here we are on the macOS desktop, and to upgrade to Tahoe, I just went into System Settings, and on Software Update you can turn the beta updates on. You do need some kind of developer account for this, but I've had one of those for many years, so it was easy enough, and it found the update, and I clicked install, and a little while later we were presented with this desktop. So as you can see, I've got the clear icon selected here. One thing that's changed is the widgets have now moved over onto the desktop. They used to be in like a slide over area on the right hand side. And we've got the completely clear menu bar background at the top there. And overall, I really like this aesthetic. So let's just go back to the Apple icon there, and we'll click on About This Mac so we can see exactly what we're dealing with here. Excuse me. So yeah, we've got a Mac Mini. It's an M1 from 2020. I think I may have purchased it a little after 2020, but anyway, that's its vintage. And we've got 16 gigs of RAM, and as you can see there, we've got Tahoe and version 26. So if we head into the settings, one of the main things at the moment, I guess, is the appearance here. So we're in light mode. I've generally run dark mode for the past few years, but a little while ago I changed to light mode, especially for work. Just seemed to suit me a little bit better. But we've got various different options here. So as I say, I'm on the clear at the moment. We'll just click on the default there. Give it a second to catch up, and we can see all the nice new icons there. Have a quick look at dark. See the widgets change, the background. and we get a slightly different effect there down the bottom, and then we got tinted. Yep, I have to say I really don't like the tinted look on macOS or any of the other operating systems from Apple, so we'll just put that back to clear. We'll click it back into light, and we'll stick with that. Hopefully they enhance it a little bit. Some of the contrast isn't perfect, and you'll see that shortly. Okay, so what have we done to get around some of these roadblocks? And the main one I mentioned was kind of the keyboard. So if we scroll down to the bottom here, you can see keyboard. But just before we do, if I head back up to general, see language and region. Like I say, I'm from the UK. I've got UK primary, UK, everywhere says UK. And when I go to keyboard, I thought things would work out okay, but I think this was a little more buried in the last operating system. But if I click on edit here, you see I've got it selected to British PC. When I click the plus icon, we can have a look at some more. So you've got GB British, you've got British PC, you've got some few options there for this part of the world, and I found the one that works the best is British PC, simply because it puts the quotation marks back on the 2 and the @ symbol over here. Even I think on GB British they're reversed, and that drove me absolutely insane. So I'll cancel that one and we'll click done there. The other thing that I've changed, and the more I use this Mac, this may change again in the future, but I actually tweak the keyboard shortcut at the moment. So if I click on the keyboard shortcuts there, we've got the modifier keys, and I've changed the control key to command. Usually obviously it's on control, and that's because as I mentioned earlier, I live in Office, and that's kind of going to be one of the first tests here, is can I get to grips with Microsoft Office on this machine. Is I know lots and lots of different shortcuts, and most of them need the control key, or CTRL, and that enables me to use Control C rather than having to remember other things. It may break some of the Apple shortcuts, but time will tell on that one. So I've changed that as well. I don't think I've changed too much else in here. One thing I will just note is if I head over to displays, see that we're in the default mode there. That's just to make the video kind of look relatively nice. Usually I do run this at 4K, and I don't have it scaled. I don't have it scaled in Windows either. The only slightly odd thing here is that for some reason this is a 144 Hz panel. It doesn't give the 144 Hz option. I believe there are utilities maybe that I can get to enable that, but for the static sort of work I'll be doing on here, I'm not sure that's too much of a deal breaker. So let's just close system settings for a while. Now, one thing, I almost did it, is the buttons look the same, and obviously they're on the opposite side. But if I just close that, it doesn't actually close the system settings, it just kind of minimises it down to the system tray. You actually have to go to quit system settings, which again from a PC to a Mac is slightly different. You can see I've got the iPhone mirroring turned on. At the moment I'm recording the audio for this video via my iPhone, but the reason that's there, I'm very used to phone link on PC. And no, it doesn't work as well with an iPhone, but with a suitable Android device it works really well, and I got very used to it. But I keep my iPhone away from my desk to keep me focused, and living in this Microsoft world, every so often I need to use the Authenticator app, and I find it very handy to have that open there so I can interact with the Authenticator application. Other little bits and pieces that I've noticed is the app launchpad has changed to this kind of a view, which I really like. I have to say this for me is much more what I'm used to on Windows, so yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I've seen some negative comments on the internet about that, and some of the things we'll get into actually if I look at Spotlight search, again very similar to the Power Toy that I use for search on the PC. Really pleased to see this clipboard history. I don't remember seeing that there last time. I'm not sure if it was there or not, but again, something I'm really used to using on the PC. This is something I really would like to have a play around with, and we'll cover this in a follow-up video. I only installed this yesterday, so early days, but this action, and certainly from the WWDC demonstration, this looked like a really powerful tool, so I'm looking forward to using that. Let's just go back in Spotlight Search, and then we've got our usual files and applications, and I believe I can actually put some commands in here, and I can send messages, and I can do all sorts from this area. So yeah, we'll definitely do a follow-up on Spotlight. So that seems to be a differentiator between Windows and Mac. Other bits and pieces we'll look at are I'm a big terminal guy on PC, and I from what I remember, terminal is actually better on Mac than on PC, or certainly the out-of-the-box experience, shall we say. I've done a lot of changes to the one on the PC, so we'll have a look at that, and we'll probably combine that with eagle-eyed ones among you will notice that we've got LM Studio. So we'll have a look at LM Studio and the MLX LLMs, and compare that to running that on like a PC based with a 4090 and WSL. So I run Olama under WSL, and we'll see how that goes. I don't expect this to outperform it, but let's see how friction free it is. We'll also so I'll split that video out, and then we'll take a look at how I'm using things like Word, and I do have the Microsoft Suite on here, and then some of the outlier apps, I guess. I'm not even sure if you can get some of the apps. Loop, for example, is a Microsoft app I use quite a bit of, but I can use it from Teams or within the browser. So yeah, it's a dedicated app for Apple. But we'll take a look at that. That's obviously not an Apple thing, that's a Microsoft thing. But as you can see there, I'm getting my full hit of Copilot, and this is one of the reasons I'm doing this on macOS 26 rather than iPadOS 26. Even though the changes to the iPad have been quite profound, the apps at the moment, as far as I can tell anyway, have not really changed. It's just the operating system, which, as welcome as it is, I can't get a really good terminal on iPad, and then I don't get full fat versions of Office. And there aren't many things that I can't do on the iPad Office, but there's a few key ones, so we'll stick to that. And I guess one other thing to have a quick look at, if I move this iPhone mirror just over here, the one bit of the glassy look, as it were, that I don't particularly like is in Control Center. I think that doesn't look great, but this is an early beta. It's only been out a couple of days, so let's see how we go on that one. We won't cover Apple Intelligence too much because I think they're still working on that, and hopefully they fix the download icon, which is not transparent at the moment, and we'll have a look through Finder, and we'll split it up into areas and give it from a PC guy's perspective, moving over to Mac. So that's it for today, just a quick look around, and some of the tweaks we've made so far to make the keyboard work well for me in a UK environment. I do have this fancy keyboard, and we'll have a look at that as well under Mac as we go. And that's it for today, I think. So I think all that's left is for me to say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.